Hello everyone, today's poem is Wei Wind Part 2, a Wei Wind poem in the Book of Songs. In the first part of the video, we have gone through the first 3 paragraphs of this long narrative lyrical poem. It's a very unique poem because it's a narrative poem about a normal family from the perspective of a female. So from her falling in love, get married, and his family life with his husband. So it's quite a normal subject for today, but this one is something written roughly 3,000 years ago, so it's a quite unique poem, and it was also treated as the very original and root of the women complaining poetry, a very big chunk of the Chinese classic poetry genre. The first 3 paragraphs in part 1 is about her love and her wedding, and in the 3rd paragraph she concluded that she was in such a endowed with her love, and she could never be released or resolved from the love to that man, to her husband. And in the 1st and 2nd paragraph, we can also feel some of the implications that there are some bad factors for this marriage, because in the 1st paragraph he compared the status of herself and her future husband as clothes and fine silk. So this implies her husband has a lower or worse social status or economical status compared to herself. And in the 2nd paragraph, when she was expecting her husband to come to her city to do the wedding ceremony, to fetch her, and she was standing on the city wall. She described the city wall as damaged, endangered city wall, which also implies the social status or the country, the city status is not good, maybe endangered by wars with others. Maybe the city is just declining. So this also maybe some factors or reasons for the girl is in such a hurry to get married, because in the ancient China, marriage is the destination for the woman, for female. If the girl could not get a marriage, she actually is just like in the middle of nowhere. So in a troubled land, in a troubled status, a girl is quite easily get the feeling or has the urgency to get married as soon as possible to be stabilized. So basically that's the first 3 paragraphs, and from the 4th paragraph it's about the marriage life of that girl. 桑之若嗟，其黄而韵。 The mulberry leaves, when it was falling down, the leaves turned into yellow, and then it falls down to the ground. 韵 it means falling down. 自我愆藹3岁时贫 Since I went to your place, for many years I lead a very poor life. 愆 means go to, means you. So here it refers to her husband. So here poem tells us from the fourth paragraph is about the marriage life. The girl has went a long go through a long way and go to her husband's family. Her husband lived in her husband's city, and the life is quite poor. So let's have a compare to the second paragraph. 以尔车来，以我贿迁. So that man, when he was fetching the girl for the wedding, he drive his chariot out to fetch the girl, and he carried all the money and wealth of that girl and went back. So here we can see that they have something at the very beginning, but it must be her husband's family is in such a bad situation, so they are getting poor, and poor, no income, all is expense and costs. So very quickly the family turns to be very poor, and so the girl complained. 3岁视频, for many years I lived in a very poor life. So here 3岁 doesn't mean 3 years. If in the modern Chinese, 3岁 means 3 years old or for 3 years. But here it means for many years, because in the classic Chinese, 1 means single, 2 means a few, 3 means many. And there's a very famous sentence from the Taoism. 道生一，一生二，二生三，三生万物. So it tells us the fundamental of the nature of the world is Tao, and Tao gave the birth of one thing, and the one thing then turned to be two things, and then the two things brings a lot of the things which make the whole world for us. 淇水汤汤，见车为商. The Qi River was wide and wild. The wedding car went through the river slowly, with the car surrounded by the big piece of cloth. The Qi River is the river in the girl's hometown. So here is the recall of the wedding. So the girl recalled her sweet memories of the wedding days. The car goes through the Qi River, and in that time, her husband has a decent car and surrounded with the clothes. So that's a very decent marriage of the noble peoples. So here also give us some of the contrast, because the previous sentence, the girl said he leads many years of poor life, but when they have the weddings, the wedding days looks decent, is still at least okay or normal. Okay, let's continue. 女也不爽，是二其行. 爽 means fault. So I don't have any fault, but the gentleman behaves different. 二其行 means behave two ways. What is two ways? Which here it means the gentleman, her husband, behaves one way before the marriage, and the husband behaves another way after the wedding ceremony. 是也往极，二三其德. So my husband has go beyond the limit. Her his virtues and his deed change all the time. So here actually is almost same from the previous sentence. The gentleman, her husband, behaves different, and you can never know what would her husband behave in the future. So all this sentence is an indirect way the girl complained to her husband, "You never love me again." And before the wedding ceremony, you look a decent and honest man and with love. But now I lead a poor life for many years, and what's more, the girl feels no love from her husband. Okay, the fifth paragraph. 3岁为父，迷是老矣. So I'm your wife for many years. I worked in every room, every house, very diligently, hardly. 迷是 means not in a single house, and it means every house actually. So here it's telling some of the details of the marriage life. The girl works very hard and diligently in her new family. 夙兴夜寐，夙有朝矣. So the girl get up very early and she go to sleep very late. 夙 early morning. 兴 get up. 夜 very late night. 寐 means go to sleep. 夙有朝矣. She don't has a morning. She don't has a very good easy morning. 言既遂矣，至于报矣. Yan has no meaning in it. It's just a starting words, has no meaning. So here is telling the thinkings of her husband. So her husband thinks, now the husband has achieved his goal, the marriage with the girl, and he treats her wife very badly. 遂 means achieve the goal. 报 means very bully and badly treat the girl. 兄弟不知，迭其孝矣. 兄弟 here refers to the girl's brothers. So we know and the best guess they are noble families. And when her brothers came to visit her, or maybe she came back to her parents, so there's a rules, there's a code of conduct. The married girl could go back to visit her parents sometime, very few times in her lifetime. So in this case, of course, the girl would meet with her brothers. So here it tells 兄弟不知，迭其孝矣. Her brothers don't know the real situation, what the girl had in her family with her husband. Or maybe her brothers had some business, had some common interests with her husband. So when the girl complained to her brothers, they just laughed at her. So this is hopeless. She was already in such a poor conditions, and when she was trying to complain or find help from her brothers, they just laughed at her. 静言思之，公自导矣. So the girl stayed alone and thought it over. He just feels sadly for herself alone. He has no other way to change that. The girl may be compliant to her brothers many times, and this sentence described the final result. She was hopeless. So, from the history book, even in the time of Zhou dynasty, the girl can give up her marriage and return to her own parents or return to her brothers. But in this case, her brothers just laughed at her, so she was totally hopeless. She led a miserable, poor life in her husband's family, and she want help from her brothers or even go back to her brothers, but no way. The last paragraph. 及尔偕老，劳师我愿。Get aging, get old together. But when I get old, it make me feel so complaining. 及尔偕老 is the word when the weddings between the couple. So it means let's get old together. So it means they live the whole life together until the last day. But when the wife get real old, the only thing she feels is complaining to this marriage, to her husband. So from here, we also know this poem is about her lifetime story, because when she's writing this poem, she's really old already. 其则有岸，奚则有畔。The Qi River in my hometown has its boundary, has its bound, and the lower land is on the river shores. So here it looks like describing a scenic views of her hometown, but it's very likely to be a comparison to her life, to her miserable. So it's just like this. The river has its boundaries, has its limitations, but the girl's miserable life doesn't have an end, doesn't have a limit yet till this time. 总角之宴，言笑晏晏。At the big dining event of the 总角 ceremony, we are happy, we smile happily. So this is also the recall to her past life, to her husband's past life. On the dinners, a big dinners of 总角. 总角 is a big ceremony for kids in the ancient China. So when the kid grows to 8 years old, they will hold this ceremony and wrap their hair into 2 balls above their head, and they should start it to learn something. The boys go through the schools. The girl starts to learn something for their family life when she became a wife. And when the girl get to the age of 15, it's the time to be married. So here it tells us more background of this couple, of this girl and her husband. They know each other for quite a long time. So this is also give us more details of the first paragraph and second paragraph. Before the marriage, she was such eager, or she was in such a hurry to get married with this man, because the girl actually fell in love with that boy since very young, at least since 8 years old in this dining event. And at that time, both of them feel happy and they don't love each other. So this is a sweet memories. 信誓旦旦，不思其反。旦 is the morning. Look at this character. It's the sun above the horizon, so it's the morning. And 旦旦 means every morning. The husband make his oath or make his swear to the girl every morning, and the girl never thought back that the husband has violated his oath, his swear many times. So this is more likely the life during their marriage, and they live together. They can see each other every morning. So in the morning, the husband is regretful to some of his deed in the yesterday, in the past time, and he swear to the girl, to her wife, I would never do that again. I will treat you well. And then the girl, the wife, forgave her husband. 反是不思，亦已焉哉。When the husband violated his oath, his swear again, the wife still didn't give it a shit, because just let it be. It's just like we have reached this stage. We have been in such a status. I'm hopeless. Nobody can change it even a little bit. Just let it be. 亦已焉哉，焉 is this status. This is exactly the wording. 哀莫大于心死. The most strong sadness is when the heart became dead. The heart stopped. So the heart is, for ancient China, is the place of thinking and feelings. This means when the heart broken, when the heart stopped dead, that person doesn't have any feelings, doesn't have any thinkings, thoughts. With such understanding, the last pair of sentences describe how sadness the wife feels. Her heart is dead. It's much worse than a dead person. And even her husband do something bad again and again, violate his oath again and again. She even didn't give it a shit at all. Because his heart is dead. Okay, that's for this long narrative poem, a very sad story about a girl, a wife, roughly 3,000 years ago. And there are some other explanations interpret this poem a little different from my interpretations. And it from the fourth paragraph, it interprets the story as the girl feels such an angry or sadness toward her husband, so she came back to her own home, to her brother's home, and later we have the word 跌其笑矣. Her brothers laughed at her, and basically I don't think that's the case. The first pair of sentences in the last paragraph, 基尔偕老，劳使我愿. So we have promised each other, let's get old together. And finally, until I'm old, you made me complaining so much. So here it implies actually the girl lived with her husband till the very end when she writing this poem. And also the sentence next, 其则有岸，奚则有畔. It also implies her miserables doesn't have an end yet, and her miserables still continues. So if she has gone back to her own home, to her brother's home, her miserables didn't end it, I should say, but a lot of her miserables had ended in some way because she has left her husband already, so she can keep away from those miserables that her husband or her ex brought to her. Okay, that's the end of this long narrative poem. What do you feel? How many things has changed after so many years, after thousands years of history? The love between a girl and a boy, the marriage, and all the hate, the complainings. How many things has changed from this poem? Okay, bye bye for now.